bili, bili, bili. Bili, bili, bili. Bili na kayo dyan.
Huh?
You want some, sir? You wanna buy?
I grew those.
Or you grow those? If I sell this, it's $5.99 a pound.
That's probably a good deal.
Yeah.
Because these are organic, right? So
I am a good sealer.
What's abilibili?
Come on and buy. Come on and buy. It's so sweet.
Hey, how's it going, my friends? Come check this out. It's a great day, July 3rd, 2020, and we're getting ready to pull a large harvest of some Santa Rosa plums, one of my absolute favorite fruit trees growing back here in the backyard food forest. Now this tree is just absolutely loaded down. We've been harvesting these plums just as snacks as we want them, but now is the time to really pull a bunch of these fruits off. They're just perfect. They're actually dropping some fruits now. Now a little bit about the Santa Rosa plum tree and why it's my favorite and why you should consider growing one if you're not already. One being, well, let me show you this. A little bit of damage there from the birds. That's fine, we'll just drop that on the ground, let the chickens finish it off. But the Santa Rosa plum tree was developed by Luther Burbank back in 1906. He was a botanist, horticulturalist. He developed over 800 species of plants, and we are benefiting today from the work that this man did. Now the Santa Rosa plum is a wonderful tree to grow because, for one, it's cold hardy, so you can grow this in climate zones 5 through 9. So much of the United States can actually grow this tree. It's also self-fertile, which is wonderful, meaning it'll produce the fruit even if you've only got one plum tree in your yard. Now if you've got a second plum tree, a Japanese plum, then it's going to create cross-pollination and you're going to get an even heavier harvest. Now what I have are some hybrid trees that have plum in the DNA. So I've got some plum cots and some pluots, and so we're getting the benefit of that cross-pollination. But just a heavy setting fruit tree, lots of fruits here. They're delicious, absolutely delicious, and an easy plant to grow. I've never had to deal with any sort of pest or disease issues on this tree. It's low maintenance. Now the powdery substance on the outside of the plum is known as wax bloom. And this is actually a protective coating. It helps protect the plum from insect and some disease damage. You can rub that away. You can actually eat it. It's not harmful. But you can see the beauty and the shine once you rub it off. Now something else interesting to let you guys know is that in the past I've actually harvested the plums almost a month prior, early June. And today we're early July, so there's kind of a window there, I guess, depending on the weather, and I'm sure there's some other factors there as to when you're actually going to pull your harvest. But typically you could expect to harvest these sometime around 4th of July. Oh, that one's just perfect. So I'll bite into this one and give you a closer look at the flesh. Trust me, it tastes as good as it looks. Now something I did this year a little differently is I set up a bit of a support structure just to help support these branches so I could allow more fruit to set on the tree. As a result, we definitely got more fruit, but they're a little smaller. Usually most of the fruits are around this size. We've got a lot that are a lot smaller. Let me hold those up for comparison. You can see the different sizes. So we've got a large variance of the size of the fruit. But that's just fine. They're delicious nonetheless. Also, I allowed the tree to get taller this year than I usually do. It's probably about 12, 13 feet tall at the highest point there. A lot of these branches started to droop over with the weight of the fruit. But I think I'm going to prune the height down a little bit more next year, keep it at a lower level. I do like the way these branches are drooping, however. I'll show you what I mean. We're in the pathway now in the food forest, and you can see it's creating this nice canopy over the pathway, which I really like. And we got some cross branching of the plum and the pomegranate here. So they're supporting each other, creating almost like a tunnel. And this is something I really like for the food forest design. But if those branches were sticking straight up, they'd be probably about 11 feet tall. But again, they're dangling down with the fruit, and there's a lot of fruit. So I'm gonna keep pulling a harvest here, and I've got the wife out here helping me today with the harvest. So we're gonna keep on picking, and then we'll weigh it up and see what we ended up getting this year. It's even crossing over through this white mulberry tree as well. We got a couple wrinkled fruits drying on the tree. Yeah, but there's very little bird damage this year on all the fruit trees. There's plenty of birds around. You hear them chirping all day. Well, I've mentioned it in the past. I feel like it's very important. But you should consider keeping bird water in your garden, because a lot of times when the birds come pecking at the fruit, it's because they're actually thirsty. And so if you've got a water supply for them, you might think that you're just attracting birds in, when in fact you're just helping them to satiate their thirst, and they're going to peck into your fruit a lot less. That's been my experience, and that's what I suggest people try. Now, plums will continue to ripen on the kitchen counter, so if they're not all perfectly ripe, that's okay. If you just want to secure the harvest, make sure you get it from any of the wildlife or the birds. I'd say about 80% of these are real close to being perfectly ripe. And at that point, you really want to eat them right away, so it's probably best to harvest these a couple days before they'd be at peak ripeness. So what's the plan? What do you do with a large harvest of fruits like this when you're pulling so much at once? Well, for one, we're going to be eating a ton of these fresh over the course of the next few days. End up slicing some of these up, putting them in the freezer for use in smoothies, and we'll definitely be sharing them.
After this one is finished, the next one is the jujube, huh? And then this.
Well, no, we got figs.
The figs. And
then the white nectarines. And then there's grapes.
We have to harvest every month, every 3 weeks.
So this tree was planted in 2013, so it's 7 years old. We started reaping decent harvests just 3 years after it was in the ground back in 2016. So it's a productive tree. You can start getting fruit right away. But this is by far the most abundant harvest that we've had. So I've been at it now for about 20 minutes of harvesting. I was at the store the other day and I saw they had plums for sale. They were charging 79 cents a piece. Okay, they were larger than these, probably equivalent to 2 or 3 of these, but still, if you think about the cost, if you were to buy these, and the fact that we're getting these as fresh as can be, grown organically. Those weren't even organic. Those were just conventional plums. My pockets are full. And we've got the Smarties chickens coming around. They know a good thing when they see it. Eating some of the ripe plums dropped on the ground. Are you going to try to lift that up, or do you want me to carry it?
I want you to carry it.
Okay. Here. Let's go weigh these up. Oh yeah. That's some weight. All right, let's see what we got here. It's 28 pounds.
Bili na kayo dyan.
Huh?
You want some, sir? You wanna buy?
I grew those.
Or you grow those? If I sell this, it's $5.99 a pound.
That's probably a good deal.
Yeah.
Because these are organic, right? So
I am a good sealer.
what's abilibili?
Come on and buy. Come on and buy. It's so sweet. Very, very sweet.
You used to sell in the Philippines fruit, right?
Yes, any kind of fruits. So I'm so expert for selling fruits.
So with that, we want to thank you all for watching. Have yourself a great rest of your night. Have a wonderful 4th of July, Independence Day, and we'll be talking to you again real soon. Take care now.